Did you know that 30% of new immigrants to Canada leave within the first 2 years? And here's another shocker: Canada now ranks among the worst countries in terms of disposable income in the developed world. With soaring housing prices, rising living costs, and taxes that can eat up nearly half your paycheck, moving to Canada in 2025 might not be the dream come true you've been told it is. But wait, there's more. What if I told you that despite its reputation as an immigrant-friendly country, many newcomers end up feeling disappointed, overwhelmed, and even financially worse off than before? That's right. Canada, often marketed as the land of opportunity, might just be one of the toughest places to actually build the life you want. So before you pack your bags and make that life-changing move, you'll want to hear the real truth about what living in Canada is like in 2025. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the 5 biggest reasons you might want to think twice before moving to Canada. Stay tuned until the end because there's one scenario where moving here might actually be worth it, but it's probably not what you'd expect. The harsh job market reality. If you're moving to Canada because you've heard about its booming job market, think again. While there is a demand for skilled workers, the reality is far more complicated than it seems. Many immigrants arrive with high hopes of landing their dream job, only to face months, or even years, of unemployment or underemployment. In fact, studies show that nearly 40% of immigrants struggle to find jobs that match their skills and qualifications. Why? Canada's immigration policies may favor professionals like engineers, doctors, and IT specialists, but the job market doesn't always align with these expectations. The competition is fierce, especially in major cities like Toronto and Vancouver, where most new immigrants flock. With thousands of highly qualified candidates applying for the same positions, it's common for newcomers to find themselves stuck in jobs far below their skill level. And then there's the licensing issue. If you're a doctor, engineer, or accountant, be prepared for a lengthy and expensive process to get your credentials recognized in Canada. This means you might spend years working outside your field, often in entry-level or survival jobs, just to make ends meet. Another major obstacle is Canadian work experience. Many employers prioritize local experience, which creates a frustrating catch-22. You need Canadian experience to get a job, but you need a job to gain Canadian experience. Networking is another major factor. Many job openings in Canada aren't even advertised, they're filled through connections. If you don't have an established network, finding a good job can be an uphill battle that takes months or even years. Even when immigrants do find jobs in their field, they often earn significantly less than their Canadian-born counterparts. Studies show that newcomers can expect to make 20 to 30% less than someone born in Canada with similar qualifications. So why do people still move to Canada despite the harsh job market reality? Some see it as a long-term investment, short-term struggles for long-term stability. But make no mistake, it will be a struggle. If you're thinking about moving to Canada in 2025, you need to be prepared for the reality that finding a job could take much longer than expected. Before making the leap, do your research, understand the challenges, and prepare yourself financially. Moving to Canada might offer a fresh start, but when it comes to building a career, you could be starting from scratch, no matter how qualified you are. Skyrocketing cost of living. One of the biggest shocks awaiting newcomers to Canada in 2025 is the staggering cost of living. What was once a relatively affordable country has now become one of the most expensive places to live. With record high inflation and an ongoing housing crisis, living in Canada can quickly drain your wallet. Let's start with housing. In cities like Toronto and Vancouver, the cost of buying a home is now out of reach for most people. The average price of a home in Toronto is hovering around $1.2 million, and that number keeps climbing. Even renting isn't a simple solution. In 2025, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Vancouver is over $2,500 per month. And it's not just housing that's expensive, everyday necessities like groceries, transportation, and utilities have all seen significant price hikes. A recent survey found that the cost of groceries in Canada has increased by over 10% in the past year alone. A family of 4 can now expect to spend over $1,200 per month just on food. Transportation is another major expense. Gas prices remain high, averaging $1.70 to $2 per liter in many provinces. Public transportation is available in big cities, but it's not cheap. Monthly transit passes can cost anywhere from $120 to $200. Even health care, which is often touted as free, comes with additional costs. Prescriptions, dental care, and vision care are not covered under Canada's public health system. This means you'll either need private insurance or pay out of pocket, adding another financial burden. Let's not forget about inflation. Prices across the board continue to rise, but wages aren't increasing at the same rate. This means that even if you're earning more on paper, your purchasing power is shrinking. For many immigrants, the financial pressures of living in Canada have led them to rethink their decision. Some leave after only a year or two when they realize that their income isn't enough to sustain a decent quality of life. So, is Canada still worth the price? That depends on your situation. If you have a high-paying job lined up or significant savings, it may be worth the investment. However, if you're planning to rely on low-wage jobs, be prepared for the reality that Canada's high cost of living could make it difficult to achieve the financial stability you're looking for. What do you think? Does Canada's high cost of living make you second-guess your plans? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're finding this information useful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights on living and moving to Canada. Brutal winters and extreme weather. If you're coming from a warm country, Canada's freezing temperatures and harsh winters might be your biggest challenge. While Canada is known for its natural beauty, the brutal weather can make everyday life difficult, especially if you're not used to extreme cold. Winters in Canada can last 5 to 6 months, depending on where you live. In cities like Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal, temperatures can drop to -20 degrees Celsius, -4 degrees Fahrenheit, or lower. If you move to places like Winnipeg or Edmonton, you'll face minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit, or worse, often with strong winds that make it feel even colder. And it's not just the cold, you'll have to deal with heavy snowfall, icy roads, and dangerous driving conditions. If you don't own a car with winter tires, getting around can be a nightmare. Public transportation slows down, flights get delayed, and sidewalks become slippery hazards. Winter also means higher costs. Heating bills can skyrocket, adding hundreds of dollars to your monthly expenses. You'll need proper winter clothing, including a good quality coat, gloves, boots, and thermal layers, which can cost hundreds of dollars. But the extreme weather doesn't stop at winter. Summers can be just as intense, with some provinces experiencing heat waves above 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Wildfires have also become a growing problem, causing poor air quality in cities like Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton. In 2023, parts of Canada had some of the worst air pollution in the world due to wildfire smoke. If you love sunshine and mild temperatures, Canada's unpredictable and extreme weather might be a deal-breaker. While some people learn to adapt, many newcomers find themselves struggling with seasonal depression, isolation, and the overall difficulty of daily life during harsh winters. So before you move, ask yourself, are you ready for 6 months of snow, ice, and freezing temperatures? Because if not, Canada might not be the right place for you. 2. High taxes and low disposable income. One of the biggest hidden costs of living in Canada is its high taxes. While Canada is known for its public healthcare and social services, these come at a steep price, paid through some of the highest tax rates in the world. Let's break it down. If you earn $50,000 per year, you'll lose about 30 to 35% of your income to taxes. If you make $100,000, expect to pay 40 to 50% in taxes when you include federal, provincial, and other deductions. That means almost half of what you earn goes to the government. Sales tax is another major expense. In provinces like Quebec, you'll pay almost 15% in sales tax on everything you buy. Even in Ontario and British Columbia, you're looking at 13 to 14% sales tax. So that $1,000 laptop you want to buy? Expect to pay $1,130 to $1,150 after taxes. Then there's hidden costs like property taxes, insurance, and mandatory contributions, such as Canada Pension Plan deductions. Even though healthcare is free, things like prescriptions, dental care, and vision care often come out of your pocket unless you have private insurance. And despite these high taxes, Canada's disposable income is shrinking. Wages are not increasing fast enough to keep up with the rising cost of living, meaning many Canadians feel financially squeezed. Unlike places like the US or Dubai, where lower taxes allow for higher take-home pay, Canada's high taxes can make it difficult to build wealth, especially for new immigrants. If you're hoping to save money and enjoy financial freedom, Canada's high tax burden and shrinking disposable income could make that much harder than you expect. One, difficulty integrating and loneliness. Even though Canada is one of the most multicultural countries in the world, many immigrants struggle to feel at home. Moving to a new country can be isolating, but in Canada, loneliness and difficulty integrating are major problems, especially for newcomers. One of the biggest challenges is making friends. Unlike in some cultures where social life is naturally warm and inviting, Canada has a more individualistic culture. People are often polite but reserved, and it can take months or even years to build real friendships. Many immigrants report feeling isolated and lonely, especially during their first few years. This is even harder if you move to a smaller city where there are fewer people from your background. Without a strong support system, adjusting to life in Canada can be emotionally and mentally exhausting. Another major issue is cultural barriers. Even though Canada welcomes immigrants, some newcomers face subtle discrimination or workplace bias. Employers often prefer hiring people with Canadian experience, and some immigrants feel they have to change their accents or cultural habits to fit in. Mental health is another overlooked challenge. The combination of stress, financial struggles, harsh winters, and loneliness can lead to depression and anxiety. While Canada has mental health resources, they are often expensive or difficult to access, especially for newcomers without private insurance. If you're coming to Canada alone, be prepared for the reality that building a social circle and truly feeling at home takes time. Without strong family or community support, it can be easy to feel disconnected, which is why some immigrants end up leaving after just a few years. Should you move to Canada in 2025? So, is moving to Canada really worth it in 2025? The answer depends on your situation. If you have a high-paying job lined up, strong financial backing, and you're prepared for the challenges, Canada can offer great opportunities. But if you're expecting an easy life with instant success, you might be in for a harsh reality check. The job market is tough, the cost of living is high, and the challenges of harsh winters, high taxes, and cultural barriers can make life in Canada much harder than expected. So before you make your decision, do your research, weigh the pros and cons, and prepare for the reality, not just the dream. What do you think? Would you still move to Canada in 2025, or has this video changed your mind? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real talk about life in Canada. Rocket!